Hi everybody, this is Gary, and today I'm with Elmer. Elmer, let's delve into it. You
Yeah.
mentioned you want to mention something about the housing market. What was that?
Okay. Great. It's always great to be here with you.
Mm-hmm.
And what I was telling you before is this. This has never occurred in the real estate um, area. High prices, high interest, and low inventory. We never had those three elements high. It's always been one low of the three or two of the three. So, we have the analysts and the economists saying something. And to a degree, they're right, because whatever has happened, whatever is going to happen, has already occurred in the past, right?
Okay,
We can already
so
see this thing, but this dynamic
uh-huh.
has never happened. So they have ideas like, how long is it going to go for? Is the real estate? I'm sure you heard, and your audience has heard that the real estate market is going to a bust soon, but we
Yeah.
haven't seen that. We haven't seen that. And Gary, I know that for a real estate recession to occur, we have to, number one, is the biggest thing is unemployment. We talked about it in the past, remember?
Yes.
Yeah. So that hasn't happened. We're not even a 4% unemployment rate, which is really, really good. Keep in mind that 2008, the unemployment rate was close to 10%.
Let's
So
let,
that,
let, let let's tear apart a little bit because
okay.
you because we need to talk about this. You mentioned that there's high interest,
Yes.
right? There's what else? What else? High interest,
Low inventory
low inventory,
and high prices.
and high prices. Well, high prices is caused by inflation, right? So,
Correct.
so because we print out so much money. Didn't this happen back in the 70s when we had the oil crisis, where interest was high, double digit, and
It did.
we have inflation because what was the reason for it? Well, we have inflation. That's why we raise the prices. We didn't we unpick ourselves from the dollar at that time.
That's what they did, Gary. They inflated, and it was back then. It was a situation caused by I would say, the oil industry, right?
Yes.
There was a demand for it, and the OPEC, which is, that this few countries get together and they regulate that. So,
Right.
but in the 70s, there was a thing: a house was looked at a place as a shelter, right?
Yeah.
As one of the four bare necessities, right? It wasn't looked upon as an investment as it is now, especially in
Mm,
California, right?
right.
California, New York, and Florida. These are the states where we have the highest appreciation. So now, going back to our beginning of the conversation. So when we have high interest rate, right?
Mm-hmm.
High
High
prices,
prices. Mm-hmm.
that causes the payment to go up. And
Yeah.
then number three, low inventory, which requires to bid up the prices.
Didn't we have low inventory in the 70s because the builders didn't want to build? Because,
They did, but the population was less. So we
yeah.
had less people for almost the same amount of homes, because the builders haven't built that many homes. And Riverside County was growing that's why Riverside had a lot of properties built in the 80s and 90s, right?
Mm, mm-hmm.
But the demand wasn't as high. Now, I've been having this conversation with a few other agents in the industry. And this is, I was talking to Martina, a friend of mine, yesterday, and we said,
Mm-hmm.
well, what is our job as real estate agents and loan officers and mortgage originators? Is it to give the client the lowest rate, or is it to help the client build wealth,
Give them the lowest rate.
or to build wealth? What is it?
I think that the majority in our industry, building wealth is not our job. That's how not this is that is not how we see ourselves. Most of us, our job is
So then,
very narrow minded. It's like, okay, if you want to buy a house, I help you buy it. I help you with transaction. That's it. Building wealth is not. It comes secondary.
building wealth is a byproduct of you purchasing a home,
Yeah. How many of your
right?
clients buy a second home?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So then, when you and I, or people in our industry, do not advise our clients correctly, they're going to sit on the fence and
Yeah.
wait.
Hmm.
for prices to go down or interest to go down. But in the meantime, we have appreciation so far this year of about 8%. So then if you
Yeah,
bought a home in January for 500,000, 5 times 8, you would have already made 40 grand.
yeah. But we don't see it that way. It's just part of owning a house. But
Right. Because
now
it's mhm,
properties has become a commodity. I
yes.
was mentioning like before you only have the 401k or your pension plan for your company. Now
Hmm.
you have the option to put your money on real estate or in 401k. They actually kind of weigh the same in the balance where, okay, where are you going to put the money? Back then, I assume that people didn't even look at real estate as a investment tool. Now it is. We
Right.
trade houses like we trade stocks. We have
Right.
flippers and
It's
we have different ways that
an
people
investment
invest.
vehicle. It used to
Yeah.
be a home used to be first primarily as shelter,
Mm-hmm.
as a place where you raise your family,
Mm-hmm.
and it'll give you pride of ownership, right?
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's primarily an investment.
It is an investment.
Yeah, because you lock your housing expense, then you have a shelter, and you have the pride of ownership.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is one of the numbers that really, really, when I first heard it in February, I'm like, wow. This and the economists have crunched the numbers and have come up with this number. About a home in March of 2020, by January 31st, 2024, you would have made 46% on that investment. That is ridiculous.
But that's just now though, because of the way that the government has printed money. What do you
Hmm.
see ourselves moving forward? What do you see the real estate? Let's talk about California specifically. What this is our
Hmm.
market. What do you see our
Hmm.
market moving forward?
Okay, I think that we're still going to see a shortage of inventory,
Yes.
and I think that buyers are getting used to it, to the payment.
Yes.
And we
Yes.
have a saying in our business, right? You marry the house, but you date the interest rate. What that means is like, yes, you're going to buy a high price home and you're going to pay high interest, but the interest is going to drop. I don't mean saying get an adjustable rate, but what I mean is that fixed rate will drop, which is controlled by the federal bank.
You
So
know,
then,
but sorry to interrupt, but I made a decision also when I purchased one of my houses is that the interest rate I wanted to I was willing to pay higher so that I can actually refinance it later. I made a mistake because interest rate has not come down, and I didn't take in consideration that there's so much money flowing around because we print out so much that and there's low inventory. Therefore, the prices are going to keep going higher if we drop the interest rate. Now, when do you foresee interest rate going down?
okay. The federal government is looking for a 2% inflation rate.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, a little bit under three at 2.78 inflation rate.
Yes.
And the federal government, not the I would say the what's his name?
Jerome Powell, the chairman?
Powell, yes,
Yes.
Powell. Powell spoke last week and he said that we're all expecting to say for rates to drop. And he said that he does not see rates being increased. So what
Mm-hmm.
that tells us is that he's going to let it ride
Mm-hmm.
60, 90 days before he lowers the rate. He wants to see inflation being tamed more before he does that. So
Did he actually said that he's going to drop interest rate once this year? He
you see,
didn't,
these
right?
people are very careful what they say because everything they say causes a ripple effect in the market.
Yeah.
So they just say that we are going to monitor it.
Mm.
He said, and if I see a increase in unemployment rate, we will look at interest rates.
Yeah.
It is
Here's
different.
what
He
I
just said
read.
that.
Historically, when there's election going on, the Federal Reserve will not touch the interest rate because they don't want to dissuade one candidate over the other. So they are the neutral party. Whatever they say, it just I would say is the diplomacy that they have to play in this environment, but I don't foresee interest rate moving either way. Because if
Mm,
you look at every election time, interest rate have not moved.
okay,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. So I don't foresee this year change at all. I think that the market's going to be the market's going to react what the market do because the supply and demand. There's so little supply of houses. I think it's going to go up every year. Like this year, I expect to go 5%. That's
Okay.
the average, and I don't think interest are going to change the needle either way because of that of the political environment that we are in right now.
Hmm.
And I think moving forward, my prediction is that we might not see a drop in interest rate maybe until the next 4-5 years
Okay.
because
And
there's so much money. There's so much money in the system. There's so much money all over that if there is a vacuum of properties
mhm,
missing, let's say that there's a patch or a clutter of properties in the market, it's going to fill up by buyers, hungry buyers that want these properties, and it's not going to change um, anytime soon.
and Gary, there are two companies out there, Blackstone and um, I can't remember the other company. These companies are actively buying properties. And they're not buying the big units. They're not buying the big commercial uh properties. They're buying single family residence,
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, 4.
Mm-hmm.
So then if these big corporations are doing it, and they're the
Mm-hmm.
ones with the money,
Yeah,
why should you and I and the regular of your programs,
we should do what's best for us. Obviously, we're
right?
realtors, and if we tell people to buy, they might say, "Oh, you just want the commission." However,
Right.
I do tell people you don't own a house, then and you can afford it. What is it that you're waiting for? Just because you don't want to pay the commission? That makes no sense to me. So my advice is don't use a realtor then. Buy on your own if you can. But the truth is, the truth of the fact and the matter is that you need professionals to help to be on your corner, to
Right.
help you guide you through. Look for a lawyer then. Ask for a lawyer to see what's the real estate advice on it. But the thing is like, don't allow this mentality that you don't want others to earn a profit deter you from moving forward and create some wealth for yourself.
Right.
Abundant. There's plenty of
Consider
abundance.
this, right?
Yeah, like
Hmm.
good
Consider that.
realtors,
Uh-huh.
good realtors are not lacking business,
No,
right?
no, no. And another thing to keep in mind is this, right? The purchase is one-time transaction, but the wealth building occurs every year.
Yeah,
So then
compounded.
by you staying on the fence, who's really losing more? Who's really losing? And like you said, if you have the ability, if you have the finances, do you want to lose out?
Yeah,
And
like
eventually, and real estate is not a 1 to 2 year investment vehicle. It's 5 to 7 years. And if you hold on to it, you will make money.
yeah.
Even if you have bought a thousand and I mean 2006 when it was at the highest, the peak. If you
We
would have sold it in 2010, you would have made some
we
money.
passed that now. We passed 2006 levels. You buy
Yeah, we're
now
past
at the highest. This is the peak. This is the new bottom. And if you buy now, it's going to go up in value. So I don't
right.
see, how you can lose. However, be clever. Don't just blindly buy anything. Don't
Right.
overprice
It
it.
has to make sense.
Has to
It
make
has to make
sense.
sense for you.
Yeah. Remember, our time
Good.
is up, and if people want to get a hold of you, how can they get a hold of you?
The easiest way, 323-70994, Elmer at southeastrealty.net.
Can you repeat that again? You get cut off.
Sure. 323-707-6594 and Elmer at southeastrealty.net.
Awesome, Edward. Thank you, and I'll talk to you soon.